Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the SlooPcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well, Jared. Doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
I got nothing. This is the part where I try to say something goofy,
Nothing.
and then like sort of like lead into some small talk or some shenanigans or something. But I had nothing right there. I went into my bag and it was empty. You ever go to the gym and you think that you packed away clothes? You think you brought clothes to the gym and then it turns out you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's what just happened in my head just now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is our SlooPicks episode here. We have 6 games. We will cover.
But Kyle, isn't it 7?
It is 7, but you can listen to the Ohio State Iowa game from our Know Your Enemy episode on Thursday. So if you want to hear our thoughts and opinions and shenanigans from there, listen to Thursday's episode. But we will cover these 6 games, and these 6 games, Jared, 4 of them are top 25 matchups here. So let's start from the top here. We got a pair of undefeated teams. Yes, Syracuse is undefeated, Jared. Syracuse taking on Clemson. It's going to be too much orange in this game here, Jared.
and Cuse's blue and Cuse's blue looks kind of purplish too, depending upon the uniforms they're wearing.
Clemson is a 13.5 point favorite in this game.
They are, yeah. Both teams undefeated, both teams top 25, as Kyle points out. If we take a look at who is the superior orange, like, are we talking like colors speaking, or just like this is what they're going for in the game? Like who has the superior shade of orange? Because I do prefer Clemson's orange. Web error. Okay, there we go. Similar points per game, although Syracuse is letting up less points per game. But if we look at the schedules, I think it's fair. I think it's pretty fair to point out that Clemson's schedule's maybe been a bit tougher. Syracuse's last 5 opponents are NC State, Wagner, Virginia, Purdue, UConn. Clemson's last 5 are Florida State, Boston College. Not that Boston College is fantastic, but if you compare that to, say, Wagner, much tougher. NC State, Wake Forest, and Louisiana Tech. None of those teams are as bad as Wagner or UConn. None of those teams are as bad as Wagner or UConn. So we take a look at the schedules, we compare them. We do see that NC State's a common opponent, but we have to kind of throw that out because NC State had Leary against Clemson. They didn't have Leary against Syracuse, which is obviously a huge deal. So we kind of have to throw that out. So at the end, I think I'm going to take Clemson only because I just haven't seen Syracuse play anybody. And yes, NC State, but Leary.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Clemson as well here. We've seen the past couple of games, Clemson just kind of turns it on in the second half here, but it's because they. I think some of the teams they played have a little bit better defenses here, and they kind of figure it out in the second half. I don't trust Syracuse's defense to slow them down at all in the first half, and it's just going to be, I think Clemson's going to run away with this. So I'll take Clemson to cover in this game.
And this is still like a flawed Clemson team overall. I think this is not one of, they're better than last year's Clemson team, but they're not as good as like Clemson when Clemson was Clemson a few years back.
They've fixed some of their offensive line issues that they had last year, but they're still prone to that this year, but it's not as obvious as it was last year.
But I prefer, but again, this Clemson team is much better than they were last year. And I think they're much better in October than they were in September. But Yeah, I think this is a very good Clemson team. It's just not like world beater Clemson that we got used to there for a few years. But yeah, they win this game, and I think they cover the 14.
Yep. All right. Our guest picker. Who do we got for our guest picker this week, Jared?
Dinger. Just a name that's fun to say. He was unfortunately busy, so he didn't give us like a lot to. I mean, he didn't like write out paragraphs or anything, but he did send us our picks, and he says he's going to take Syracuse with the points.
All right. Next game here, Jared. Oops. Let me go back here. Apologies. Next game here, Jared. We have Ole Miss and LSU. Ole Miss coming in 7-0 and LSU 5-2, playing in Baton Rouge. Pretty much a pick'em game. It's a pick'em.
Pretty much.
it is a pick'em game here. So I'm a little surprised to see that this was essentially a pick'em game here. And yeah, I got Ole Miss. I don't know much more about that. LSU, I just don't really trust LSU here. Yeah, they've looked good at times, and they had their big win against Florida here, but Ole Miss is just a more all around better team. So I'll pick Ole Miss in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to wonder. LSU lost to Florida State, and it turns out Florida State isn't even all that good. But
yeah, Austin, if this game was at night, I would consider LSU.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that I don't. Yeah. Anyway, that's I'm moving past that before I totally get lost in the sauce. Other than that, like LSU has a win over Mississippi State, and maybe Mississippi State was better than we were expecting them to be this year, but they're not great. They barely beat a bad Auburn team. They got their face kicked in by Tennessee, and they beat Florida, who has been wildly inconsistent this year. I'm not seeing anything I'm super impressed with. But if we look at Ole Miss, they haven't really beat anyone either, and unless you think, depends on how you feel about Kentucky. They were number 7. Kentucky was number 7 when they beat Kentucky. But we all know they weren't really a top 10 team. Ole Miss has a great offense and a good quarterback, and we all know the rule. Yeah. Ultimately, yeah, I think I've just seen LSU look terrible at times this year, and I think I've seen Ole Miss in games where they should have been better, but ultimately has won with relative comfort. Again, with Kentucky being the exception all year. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss has success running with their running attack here, and LSU has been prone with their rushing defense too. So definitely, I think another favor for Ole Miss there. Dinger here, very short and sweet here. The LSU line is weird. Give me them with a 0.5 point. So he has LSU there. Interesting.
Okay.
All right. Next game here. We talked about a team orange versus orange. Well, Jared, we got another team orange versus orange here. Texas and Oklahoma State. What is this going to be a continuing trend, Jared?
A lot of orange in the SlooPicks this week. A lot of orange in the SlooPicks.
A lot of oranges.
By the way, very strange to me that there isn't a team that's like orange and silver or orange and gray. I know Tennessee among some other teams will sometimes put on grays as alternatives, but there's no teams in all of FBS that has the color combo of orange and gray. And I think that's a huge miss.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Right, Oklahoma State wears orange and gray on occasion. Yeah, and like I said, so does Tennessee. But it's not like, their colors.
Yep. So Texas ranked 20th, Oklahoma State 11th here. games in Oklahoma State and the Longhorns. I had to make sure I was looking at the pixels here correct, Jared. The Longhorns are a 6.5 point favorite. What do you got, Jared?
I tell you what, I'm having a hard time with Oklahoma State. I feel like I know who Texas is at this point. I feel like I know Texas, especially with Ewers, should be better. I did have that idea rattled a bit last week when they barely beat Iowa State. But at the same time, with Ewers, they completely slaughtered Oklahoma. So it's hard to sort of figure out who's the real Texas, I guess. Maybe they're a team that shows up for big games, but doesn't show up for not big games. And as far as Oklahoma State goes, they're just off of a two overtime loss to LSU. Outside of that, they've had some
TCU.
What'd I say?
LSU.
TCU. They had a win over a decent Texas Tech team, a win over a decent Baylor team, a pretty decisive win over Arizona State. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State here. I just think I like their results to this point more.
All right. I have Oklahoma State to cover this game here. It's just a gut feeling here. I really like what I see from Oklahoma State. Yes, they did have that loss to TCU the previous week, but I like them overall. But I mean, it's hard to not go with Texas here because of what you've seen Ewers do recently. It really putting up a lot of points since he's been playing here. So yeah, I definitely can see why people would pick Texas to cover here, but 6.5. I don't know. I think Oklahoma State will keep this close. I really do. So I'll take the Cowboys.
And by the way, I do think Texas wins in the end. I just don't feel so good about it that I'm willing to give them 6.5 points.
Yeah. Right, and Dinger just says Oklahoma State with the points.
When in doubt, pick a cowboy. That's not one of the rules. That sounds like a country song. It sounds like a country song.
All right, we're moving out west now, Jared. We got future Big Ten member UCLA, undefeated, taking on Oregon. 3:30 kickoff here. And just making sure here. Yeah, Oregon here is a 6.5 point favorite. What do you got, Jared?
I look at these two teams and I wonder to myself, why is with Oregon, right? It's hard to forget that the last time they played, and I guess it depends upon how you feel like BYU when I say this, but the last time they played like a very good team, they got run off the field by Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely run off the field by Georgia. They did turn around and have a really decisive win against BYU, who was ranked 12th at the time, but does 12th at the time mean anything when it's September 17th? Then they beat Washington State barely. They beat Stanford decisively, but Stanford's not great. Don't tell Notre Dame I said that. And then a decisive win against Arizona. I feel like it's been a long-held tradition with Oregon that they are really good at dominating bad teams, but just don't show up when it counts. So the question I think we then have to turn around and ask ourselves, okay, how good is UCLA?
Yeah, they have their past two games. I mean, Utah and Washington. Now you can have that same argument. Is Washington any good or not? But they won. I mean, it was close. They beat Washington by 8 points, and they beat Utah, which is a really good team, They beat Utah by 10 points. So I think resume wise, based on their performance, I like what I've seen from UCLA so far.
Yeah. And while I don't know that they're going to win the game, UCLA, I don't know that they're going to win the football game, but I'm not going to pass up 6.5 points to take them. If this was 2.5, I might go Oregon. At 6.5, I take UCLA.
Yep. Give me the Bruins here. Dinger here says
why can't
he said he agrees UCLA with the points.
Matt says, why can't the extended college football playoff start this year? So many potential amazing matchups. I disagree. I think there's like three. I've been saying it all year. I'm going to stick to these guns. I think there's 3 teams. And one of them I still think is Bama. I'll say it.
All right. I won't say anything then. All right. Next game here is Minnesota and Penn State. I do not believe this is the Herbie special. I find this hard to believe that this is the Herbie special. It is 7:30 on ABC.
It's 7:30 on ABC. It's the Herbie special.
Well, not necessarily, because they
have done 3:30s.
Yep, they did the Ohio State Michigan State game.
That's true. So that would be Texas and Oklahoma State.
He did say Herbie is on it.
Yeah, we have both Zach and Austin saying that is Herbie's game.
All right. Well, it's interesting. Minnesota.
Nope, he isn't. He isn't. Austin is taking that
audible.
back.
He said audible. All right.
Okay. Yeah, so it is the Texas Oklahoma State game.
Texas Oklahoma State. Yeah. All right. So Penn State is a 4.5 point favorite here. I know they didn't look good last weekend against Michigan, and rightfully so. They got outperformed. Michigan was just a much better team than Penn State, but who is Minnesota right now with all the injuries that they've had here? I know a lot of you in the chat here, especially in the last episode, you were telling me about that the boat sank, stopped rowing, and this and that. Well, this ship is sank for the Golden Gophers here. I don't think they stand a chance in this game, so I'll pick Penn State with the points here.
Yeah, they lost to Illinois last time they were on the field. They lost to Illinois by 12. They lost to Purdue by 10. And don't get me wrong, I've been saying it all year. This is a very flawed Penn State team. But Minnesota might not have Tanner Morgan for this game, and find the time to get my 4 hours sleep before work. See you, Matt. I think this is maybe one of the easiest picks on the board. It's because it's Minnesota without Tanner Morgan, and I don't even know. And I know he's been playing, and I know he's put up some good numbers. Where is Ibrahim even at this point? Because can he carry the ball 30 times in a game if they don't have Tanner Morgan to pick up the slack on the offense?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If I'm Penn State, learn from your mistake from last weekend, put 8 in the box there and just stop Ibrahim.
Ibrahim was hurt, Zach. He's back. I think he played the last 2 games for them. I think it's the last 2 games.
Just the last game.
Just the last game for them.
Played.
Were they also off last week? No, they weren't. Okay.
No, they played Illinois last week, and he carried the ball 15 times for 127 yards, 8.5 yards per carry that game.
Yeah.
When he's on the field, he's having great numbers. He's 6.7 yards per carry. He's having a pretty good year when he's on the field.
Right, but considering his injury, how much of a
Yes.
load can you give him? Austin says maybe they should have given him the ball more, but what do I know? You might not know like the real status of his injury situation. And quite
Correct.
frankly, yeah, exactly. So to that point, I almost have to wonder if you have to, as a coach, just be like almost like let Ibrahim have some carries left for the NFL. Like do the right thing and really just limit him.
Mhm.
You're already 1-2 in conference.
Yeah. All right. And Dinger here says he has Penn State to cover for his pick. All right. In our last game here, Jared, Big 12 showdown, the other Big 12 showdown. Kent. I almost said Kent State. Oof. Kansas State. I think somebody mentioned Kent State in the chat here. Kansas State and TCU. Battles of the purples. We got orange on orange, orange on orange. Now we got purple on purple, Jared.
Austin demands an apology. From you.
I did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Kyle, he says.
TCU is a 3.5-point favorite. I don't know why I need to apologize to you, Austin. I do not know why. Do not know why.
Because you were trashing TCU.
I'm not trash talking them. I'm not trash talking them. You know what? I'm picking them. I'm picking them to cover. So you can just turn off your caps lock. Because I just picked TCU. Okay. TCU
then he turns around and says he's picking Kansas. No, Kyle, it was 2 weeks ago on Collegiate Chaos when you wouldn't let me put them in the A tier. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
All right. I'm taking TCU. I think that they're significantly better than Kansas State, and the 3.5 points is not enough to scare me away. I'd take it like all the way up to, I'd hesitate at 7.5, 6.5 or below. I'm going to take TCU. So yeah, TCU minus 3.5 for me.
Man, this is crazy. Like you look at TCU, I know that rankings can be misleading here, but as they play the teams here, TCU beat then ranked 18th Oklahoma, then ranked 19th Kansas, then ranked 8th Oklahoma State. Now they're playing 17th Kansas State.
That's what I'm saying. Although I will say this, and it's very early in the week. Currently, what CBS is telling me as I'm actively on their site, 100% of the picks across CBS have gone to TCU minus 3.5. So I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm picking the Horned Frogs here. All right, and Dinger has TCU. He's picking TCU to cover.
Austin says, which is weird considering I picked KSU. It's like it's a rounding thing, I'm sure. Like if it's 99 point something.
We already did that thing, Austin. We already did that thing. All right. Let me see some other games here, Jared. Some other games if you're interested here, since we have a little bit of time. Cincinnati plays SMU. If you're interested in another noon game here. If you want some red on red battle, because we talked a lot about orange on orange, purple on purple. Watch Indiana and Rutgers play, Jared, on the Big Ten Network. You wanna watch that game? Probably not.
Are you currently shopping out your Choose Your Chaos game? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm kind of doing that too here. So probably if I were to pick one, well, I won't say.
And you are
some games here to choose from. Yeah, Cincinnati and SMU. That could be one. Ole Miss and LSU. We talked about them earlier. Where it's a pick'em game, so that might be your pick there. Tulane is ranked, Jared, and they play Memphis.
Yeah, if you want 1 point, which I might do just because I haven't got one correct yet because I keep swinging for the fences.
All right, and you have We mentioned Penn State taking on Minnesota. And that's it. I'm not.
Austin says,
and then the other one was Tennessee and UT Martin.
Yeah, not touching that one. I think the line on that game is currently there is none.
For which one?
Tennessee and UT Martin.
Yeah, there is none.
Yeah. Austin says sneaky pick. Give me Mississippi State over Bama. When was the last time Saban lost twice in a row? I mean, serious question. That's not me trying to make a point. That's a serious question.
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
When was the last time Bama lost 2 in a row? Zach says it's been like a decade. I'd believe you. If you told me it was a decade, I'd believe you.
Last time Alabama lost 2 consecutive games was in 2013 when they lost the Iron Bowl, then a bowl game to Oklahoma.
Saban
hasn't lost.
That's a bowl game.
Saban hasn't lost 2 consecutive regular season games.
Okay, all right.
Since his opening season.
Yeah, and Bama
2007.
Yeah,
2007.
Yeah. That I believe. That I 100% believe.
Yeah.
Well, there's a second time for everything.
So even though Jared, I picked Ole Miss to cover here. I'll pick them for my pick here.
Well, it's a swing, and yeah, I mean, like you have to. It's Vegas says it's a pick'em game. Ole Miss is 7. That's a lot of value. So I hate to do it because I can't catch up to you, but I also can't let you pull away from me with what is clearly the best value on the board. So I also pick that game, which sucks. But again, it would suck worse to let you get those points and me not get them.
Yeah.
Ole Miss wins the SEC West. They're in the lead.
They are technically, yeah.
Technically, they're in the lead.
All right, we have some questions here from Buckeye Zach. Nope, not Buckeye Zach. Yeah, it is Buckeye Zach. Sorry, you guys in your name changings get me all confused here. All right, Buckeye Zach here says, what would your top 25 look like right now? We'll cover that on Tuesday's episode.
Yeah, we did cover that on Tuesday's episode, and then we'll have it's not a full top 25, but that's because I get bored after a while. I don't want to do it. 25 is too many. 25 is too many. And I honestly just think it's more interesting to talk about them in tiers.
Yeah.
Than it is to actually rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A top 10 then, Zach says.
No, we have our S tier and A tier, whatever's in there.
Yeah, I think that's almost 10, right? Hold on, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up.
8.
I didn't remember how many. I didn't remember how many we left.
It's 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. It's actually more fun with tiers, he says.
All right. Zach has a few more questions here.
Hold on, I'm gonna do mine. I want to do mine real quick. Ohio State 1, Georgia 2. Tennessee 3, Michigan 4. I would then go Clemson 5, TCU 6, UCLA 7, Alabama 8, and I'm bored. I don't want to do any more. You get a top 8.
I think the last ones there is probably maybe Ole Miss and I don't know, Oregon, maybe Oklahoma State. Either way. All right. More questions here, Jared, to answer. Why is Alex Grinch such a horrible defensive coach? And likewise, on the offensive side, why is Tim Beck so bad?
Funny thing is, I loved the Grinch hire when they first brought him to Ohio State.
Yeah, I did too. It just didn't work out.
Well, and there are a lot of reasons why it didn't work out at Ohio State that I'm not going to get into. It's too much. But the fact that he's also been a pretty big failure at Oklahoma is upsetting for him. And then like USC's defense is also crap, but he's only been there for a few games, so I'm not willing to like totally throw him under the bus for that. He's better at bad schools like Washington State. Maybe.
Yeah. Why is Tim Beck so bad? We've talked about him.
See the 2015 and 16 season.
Yes. Let's see here. I read that Hooker is the Heisman favorite now, but does any?
He's not, by the way.
But no, he's not.
I mean, just like using Vegas as a system of measurement, he's not.
Yeah, he said. Do they realize that he threw 3 picks against Alabama and only passes off to one guy? I don't think that's entirely true, but I understand what you're saying.
He's the fan vote leader by 2% over Stroud. Not that it matters. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter.
No,
it's also October 21st. Like, when
Hyatt is his.
You can only lose Heisman's in October. You can't win them in October.
Yeah, I mean, Hyatt's definitely his favorite here. I mean, he has 33 catches, but I mean, it's when he does catch it, he finds his way into the end zone. Almost a third of his catches end up being a touchdown. But I mean, he has other players he throws the ball to quite a bit, but I mean, I wouldn't say he only has one player to throw to. It's just that his one guy he really throws to is really good.
Hooker is a very, very good college quarterback. He's also, like, I think not maybe talked about enough. He's like 25, maybe 24. Like, you don't often get like 24 Austin thinks. You don't often get people with that much talent that old playing college football anymore. Austin confirms it's 24. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a guy who has good arm talent, good athleticism, and those type of guys you don't normally see still in college football at the age of 24. It's a huge advantage. He turns 25 January 13th. When's the national title game? It's about there, right? You were already on it. National championship game is January 9th.
Buckeye Zach, he's only thrown 1 interception all year. I don't know where he got 3 interceptions, but either way.
Yeah. So he's a very good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback.
Yes. All right. Let's see here.
I suspect they will, Oracle.
All right. Last question here. Ranking the best defenses seen all year, whom are they and where do they lie in your top 5? No, Hooker did not. No, he's only thrown 1 interception all year. When I'm looking at it, and it was against Alabama. That's the only one. All right, top defenses. What are your top defenses that you've seen so far this year, Jared?
It's really, really hard to say because of measuring quality of opponent. I've been impressed at times with Michigan's defense this year. I do think they have some good pieces, but I also don't necessarily. They've not played a good offense yet, right? Like, who's the best offense? Maryland, right? Back when Baby Tua was still healthy, they played a much better version of Maryland than we'll play, especially from the offensive standpoint. But like, if the best offense you've played all year is Maryland, how am I supposed to create an accurate opinion on, who you are as a defense? Like, I just don't feel like we're deep enough into the season to really say that. Georgia and Bama are really the only standouts on defense. Were you watching football last week, my guy?
I think in my mind,
Bama's secondary was turned into Swiss fucking cheese. Are you? No.
So the the best defenses I've seen here, I think no particular order. I think Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, I know they haven't really played. They haven't really played anyone except for Michigan, which they lost. But I mean, we talked about Iowa. Iowa's defense, I think, is the real deal too.
Yeah, Iowa's defense is very good.
But as far as a fifth one, I mean, from what I've seen, I really liked NC State's defense. They're just on the field so much.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not good enough to be on the field all the time because it's not that deep, which maybe should be a factor when, if we're actually talking about the top 5 defenses, maybe depth is a thing we should talk about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's, NC State might feel real good about their starting 11, but we've seen them, fall apart later in games.
All right, Jared, that is all the questions we have here. You got anything else before we wrap up today's episode?
No, I think I'm good. I think we're good. Illinois is actually the number 1 defense in the country. Really? Mm-hmm. Based on what measurement, Austin? Yards per game? Okay. That is interesting.
I know this is going to be
the thing with Big Ten West teams is they play no offenses. I mean, that's totally fair. It's totally fair. Who has the best offense right now in the Big Ten West?
Maybe
Purdue,
Illinois,
probably
maybe Illinois.
Minnesota when they were healthy, but they're not anymore. I don't know. That's a good question. There's not a standout, that's for sure. Like there's no standout offense in the Big Ten West right now. Nebraska, surely that can't be true. For the sake of the Big Ten, for the sake of the Big Ten West, I need that not to be true.
It is Purdue.
Okay.
Purdue's ranked 36th best offense, and then followed by Minnesota at 38th.
So Minnesota's close, but we also need to talk about Zach. But we also need to talk about the fact that they don't have their quarterback anymore. And that's obviously a huge factor.
And who is dead last in yards per game?
For the Big Ten.
That is the team.
Yeah.
No, in general, who is last in offensive yards per game?
In the Big Ten West?
Overall, who is 131st?
I don't know.
Iowa.
Yards per game?
On offense, yes.
I didn't think that's what my stat said, but they also might be just you can calculate those things in different ways. So whatever, we can move forward. Move forward into the end of the show. Just want to remind everyone that we are on YouTube. Some of you might be watching and or listening to us on YouTube. There's 2 different places you can find us on YouTube. One of those places is our channel. You can find us, you can type youtube.thesloopcast.com, or you can just search Sloopcast in your YouTube app, however you feel like doing it. You can also find us on the YouTube channel for Buckeye Huddle. The Buckeye Huddle YouTube page. We joined the Buckeye Huddle crew recently, so you can find us over on Buckeye Huddle. You can find us in non-video format on any just pick a YouTube app or a podcast app. Pick a podcast app. You'll find us there as well. Just search Sloopcast. Spotify, yeah, we're on Spotify. In fact, spotify.thesloopcast.com. iTunes, it's just called Apple now. So, not Omegle. Yeah, iTunes isn't the thing anymore. It's just Apple Podcast. But so no, we aren't on iTunes, but yes, we're on Apple Podcast. No, we're not on iTunes. We've been over this one already, Austin. Do they got you on the good drugs right now? Only football? Nope, we're not on. What about iTunes? Yes, they do. Okay, Austin's on the good drugs. All right. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Kind of like on Thursday's episode. It's been a pretty quiet,
which has only been like an hour ago for us.
No, it's been pretty quiet week, which it's good. That means people are staying out of trouble, and there's no really injuries to report as well. Yeah. So
with there not being a game last week,
excited for this weekend. Excited to get to watch college football. Get to watch the Buckeyes again here. Yeah, should be a good weekend.
I think, as last I checked anyway, the Ohio State game, the noon window was our looking forward to the SSS. Yeah, I think that's. Tell them about it. I was Austin. Well, I think last I checked the voting, our SlooPcast social screen game, which is when we all gather in the Discord server and watch it together. Last I checked, it was going to be the Ohio State game. It was going to be the noon game. But it also looked like a pretty tight vote. So we'll see. It's tied from early window and late window. Oh, okay. So either a vote was added or removed at some point. So yeah, if you want to join us in the Discord server, and if you want to join us in the social screen, anyone can join the social screen by joining our Discord server. Anyone. It's totally free. You can join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. And then there's a room called the SlooPcast social screen room. And in there you can watch and listen as we watch and talk about the games as we watch them. Now, if you're a Patreon supporter, then you actually have voice privileges in that room, and you can talk with and to us as we talk about the game. And that's $3 a month. You can pay for that all up front for it's like 32 something, I think. If you pay for the entire year up front, it gives you a little bit of a discount to do the year up front. It's so fun, guys. I promise, Austin says. We make fun of yeah, they're brutal on me. They're real brutal. Hurts my confidence sometimes. God, I'm playing. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And like I said, you can join it and join with us for free. Totally free. The only thing that you have to pay for in that instance is the ability to have your microphone on. That's it. So that's it. I think that's all of the plugs I feel like doing. Kyle already said he's got nothing in the join us for free. See if you like it. Then pay $3 a month. Easy. Yeah. You should totally try before you buy. You can access most of the server for free. You have very similar access rights to the Patreon supporters. There are some key differences, of course, trying to make a little bit of money here, but very, very similar. There's just a couple rooms you can't see and stuff like voice privilege in the social screen room. And like I said, for that $3, by the way, it's not just Discord stuff. You get early access to episodes. They get posted to the Patreon before they get posted to the podcast feed. Unlike our podcast feed, you get your own feed that's separate from the public podcast feed. The private doesn't get those commercials in it. Those commercials that are in our regular podcast feed that come from Spreaker, those are not in the Patreon feed. So if you want to get rid of those ads for $3 a month, for $32 a year, you can get rid of those ads. And you get access to SCO. Yes, we also do a weekly show. We call it Sleep Cats Only, and it's exclusively posted to the Patreon. and it's a bit of a shit show, if I'm being honest with you. That's a joke you would understand if you ever listened to that episode. That's an inside reference, and if you want to be on the inside part of that reference, it's only costs you $3 a month. You get so much. All right. I just talked for such a long time, and I know I already said this, but do you have anything else? I just felt like it'd be rude to cancel it all of a sudden.
We're good. You
We're good.
Keep doing you.
There was a little passive aggressive in there.
Oh, you're good. You're good, Jared.
God, you're so Ohio. that passive aggressive Midwest is deep in you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Because some people think that that I've changed.
Well, you have.
I've changed.
You've kept the worst parts of Ohio in you.
All right.
End the episode.
What else is that?
Yes, end the episode. Tonight's ending music, just like on yesterday's show, is the Cloud Nothings. They are a Cleveland-based band. They're just like an alt-rock band. They're a lot of fun. And with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer. Listen. Ooh, nope, lost that one. Drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is the Cloud Nothings.